Give an outro for the YouTube? Yeah, well, please subscribe if you like this kind of content. Please subscribe if you like this kind of content. Ring that bell too. Let's go. All right. Ben Shabibo, Biden is now president. Now what? Okay. Now we can go back to regular order of business for the likes of Ben Shabibo. He doesn't have to defend Donald Trump anymore. So now he can literally just talk about how Democrats are communists and they're dictators. And, it's literally George Orwell, 1989, Animal Factory, Animal Farm, Animal Crossing, all of that when Joe Biden says, you need to wear a mask. I accidentally said the right name when I was making fun of him. George Orwell's Animal Crossing that he wrote in 1987.
So this has been Biden's shtick since the beginning of his candidacy, is that he was going to be a unifying figure in American public life.
Oh, God, he's going to do conservatives just literally bite off one another. You never hear anything unique. It's so top down. You hear Karl Rove on TV cry about the same exact shit that Ben Shabibo was crying about on his fucking YouTube channel, and it's the exact same thing that any fucking MAGA commentator or any MAGA commenter on any fucking blog or forum or even in my chat is saying. All the same talking points. Unity? Oh, you mean to tell me that calling half the country racist and, calling their cries for overturning the democratic results of an election to be a bad thing for democracy is unity? Doesn't sound like unity to me. Yeah, the only thing that trickles down in the Republican Party is just trickle down talking points.
He's a very partisan Democrat. He was a very partisan Democrat when he was in the United States Senate.
False. Joe Biden's entire shtick is that he was the Democrat that you could go to as a Republican to advocate for Republican policies. His main legislative accomplishments literally revolve around compromising with segregationists, trying to push the Democratic Party further right than the Republican Party. He was a champion of the Iraq War. I'm sorry to say this to all the Joe Biden stands in here, but the crime bill was so fucking aggressive that Ronald Reagan vetoed it the first time. And it had to be passed in different legislative packages because of how aggressive the Joe Biden crime bill originally was. So saying that Joseph Robinette Biden is a partisan Democrat and he's known as being the number one partisan is idiotic. His entire history revolves around being the most moderate Democrat you can be, the most centrist Democrat you can be, and literally working with Republicans all the goddamn time to pass Republican adjacent bills.
He was a very partisan Democrat when he was Barack Obama's vice president. He famously stated in 2012 that Mitt Romney was going to put black people back in chains.
Baby. Republicans are babies, okay? They are babies, dude. Arab. All Republicans are babies. By saying whatever the fuck he said about Mitt Romney, that's why he's partisan. Okay, well, look at his legislative accomplishments, brother. It's absolutely nuts to be oh, well, he said a mean word, and therefore he is incredibly partisan.
I mean, we've been very polarized. People have been at each other's throats, culminating in a really ugly scene on January 6th at the Capitol riot.
Oh my God, the idea that the Capitol riots have anything to fucking do with a democratic speech is so psychotic. I don't know how you can try it, but Republicans are trying it anyway, and I want to just congratulate Ben Shapiro for literally trying it, dude. It's actually Nancy Pelosi's fault that we fucking lied about the election results for months. It's actually Joe Biden's fault that we, in the Republican side, consistently cast aspersions of the legitimacy of the election in an effort to, continue fucking making our money and continuing the grift so that these hogs get to a point of not being able to control themselves and literally act on those desires that we put in front of them. But it's actually the Democrats' fault because, they were too divisive. And that's why the hogs were angry.
And when Joe Biden says something like, there has to be unity before there can be peace, you got to wonder, what does he mean by unity? Does he mean that disagreement is going to be widely allowed? Or does he mean that if you disagree with me, I'm going to suggest that you are now disunifying and polarizing and wrecking the beautiful unity that would prevail in the absence of your stupid dissent? I'm not judging Joe Biden this early on. I'm asking whether Joe Biden is going to side with the left, whether he's going to side with the Democratic base, or whether he actually means what he says, and he presumes that he is going to uphold basic American principle and then dissent within that principle.
So again, unity means protecting the fragile egos of Republicans in the eyes of Republicans because they already get their legislative agenda across fairly regularly. So the only thing that you're left with is culture wars. If your goal is to literally obstruct, if your goal is to make sure that Congress and congressional power is as limited as possible, and that you stop the Democratic administration from doing anything, or at times when you're in power, if your goals, if your legislative agenda revolves around eradicating like federal agencies and its response and whatnot, starving the beast so that you can legitimize tax cuts in the future, and that is the long-standing ideological goal of the Republican Party, then you're getting all of that. You're getting all of those goals, and you're succeeding in all those goals. So Ben Shapiro can't fucking cry about those things. So he has to cry about like unity from the point of view of minor cultural grievances, like Republicans being called racist or something. Do you understand? Unity from the point of view of like Joe Biden is Joe Biden's destroying the Muslim ban. Like that's not. Why is that a legislative agenda item for the Republicans? Like the trans military ban or the Muslim ban? It's just idiotic. So Joe Biden reversing those decisions is whatever. It's not the worst thing. If Joe Biden was to advocate for larger tax hikes for the wealthy and corporations, then you have a real problem. Then you have a real legislative problem. And because that's not going to happen for Republicans, the thing that they're going to cry about is like, oh, they called us white supremacists.
Truth, and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit.
And that's why Ben is going to now say, well, he's mentioning lies, and he's going to say that, like, Republicans are the ones who are lying, and that's not very unifying, bro.
The problem, of course, is that, again, when it comes to our politics, there are a lot of folks on the left who don't agree with that. They just agree with what they agree with. To folks on the left, it is a simple fact that America was rooted in racism, for example. To a lot of folks on the left, it is a simple fact that the police are systemically bigoted, right? All of these are considered facts. Now, everything I just said, each one of those statements is an opinion. It happens to be based on very scanty evidence. When Joe Biden says that we have to distinguish between facts and lies, does he mean that in the very real sense in which 2 + 2 = 4 and 2 + 2 = 5 are not the same? Or does he mean things I disagree with will be considered as though they are lies, and things I agree with will be considered as though they are?
He took a long way of driving home that exact same thing that I was saying, but that's basically what he's saying. He's saying that like left operates on their own set of facts and they're not real facts, and he's basically saying everything that Republicans advocate for are not facts. Again, like it's great. It's great to be so predictable because, that's just how Republicans are. All of the things that people endlessly deliberate on, or all of the things that people have conducted numerous studies on, I'm just going to say they're shaky without any evidence whatsoever. As my camera shakes, I'm not going to prove to you that those are shaky. I'm not even going to give you exactly what the fucking incorrect statements are. And then I'm going to follow through by telling you that Republicans just simply want to have their point be heard in the conversation, but it's not because they're immediately called out as lying grifters, because they are.
There is no crisis of race relations in the United States other than the opinions that people hold about race relations. And the solutions that he's going to propose for that, as we'll talk about in a second, are going to verge on the racially discriminatory themselves.
Oh, it's like the oldest fucking conservative line in the book, dude. It's not the racism that's the problem. It's actually doing anti-racism that's the problem, because anti-racism is inherently racist. And that racism is gone, actually. And it's much better to, again, feel like racism is gone and it's no longer a problem in a country where there are clearly some very different outcomes for members of individual races. That's on purpose, if you ask Ben Shapiro. That's because these people aren't just trying hard enough. It's actually not the racism that's the problem. It's doing something about it. The question that you should ask people is, okay, well, if racial discrimination occurred throughout history along racial boundaries, how could you correct those mistakes without literally fucking focusing on, at least at some level, the race of the individual that's still experiencing the intergenerational discrimination or the consequences of that? That's you're asking stupid questions in that situation, because this person does not want to solve problems like caused by redlining, or solve problems that have caused by centuries of slavery and offering no fucking restitution as a consequence of that to black people, for example. It is, in essence, no difference than saying it's actually racist to abolish slavery because, you're hurting the white people that need slavery to continue. What about all those white people that need slaves to continue their businesses? Which is an argument that Confederates made. So it's actually more racist to abolish slavery.
Here. So for a guy who is unifying, you would assume that he would find some consensus policies, and then he would build around those consensus policies.
Just give me a crumb, dude. Give me a crumb of racism. Like, what are you doing? Come on, I'm Ben Shapiro. Let's say, hypothetically, you said you want to kill only 30% of the Latinos coming through the southern border. Hypothetically, that would be a unifying front that you are putting on. Let's say, hypothetically, you only want to jail 50% of the Mexican babies. That would be a cause for unity.
There are certain areas of American life where there happens to be fairly wide bipartisan support. Biden, with his initial executive orders, is jumping precisely into the areas where there is not.
Wait, what the fuck does that mean? Unity is when you allow Donald Trump's executive orders to continue without reversing it, as though every single American president has done time and time again. This is unity. Unity is allowing Donald Trump's executive orders to continue without reversing those decisions with your own set of executive orders, as every single president has done again and again and again. That's how you do unity.
Significant American bipartisan support. So to take a perfect example, he has decided that he is throwing out the 1776 Commission. This was a commission begun by...
There is no bipartisan support for the 1776 Commission. What the fuck are you talking about? Let's say, hypothetically, we assume that something that I like in the form of 1776 Commission is something that we need to have, because it'll really hurt my feelings if you hypothetically destroyed that committee.
It was meant to rebut the 1619 Project, which is a fictionalized piece of propaganda.
Okay, 1619 Project is New York Times. 1776 Commission is literally an executive order created by the government. Shut the fuck up. You are making a false equivalence here. If Joe Biden said, we're going to do the 1619 Commission now, then you could have a more legitimate argument. Do not even try to tell me that, like, some school districts are utilizing the 1619 Commission, or not commission, the 1619 research or project as a part of their curriculum. Again, that's entirely up to the states. It's like the fucking Daughters of the Confederacy advocating for whitewashing the Confederacy history very successfully in southern states, and adding that into their fucking curriculum. It's idiotic. Also, one is closer to the truth than the other one. Sorry, the 1619 Project is infinitely closer to the fucking truth than what the Daughters of the Confederacy has done. Also, the 1776 Commission is literally just like fascist bullshit. And there is a reason why they did it in the last day of the fucking presidency, because they knew that they were going to reverse that anyway.
So Trump put together a commission that was supposed to re-inculcate American values and rebut a lot of those ideas. Biden's killing that one immediately.
Yeah, it's not unity, because Biden is killing something that Donald Trump totally made up. At least with the New York Times Project, like, there are historians that disagree with the 1619 project, right? There are historians that disagree with it. Who the fuck was the historian that they even looked at for the 1776 Commission started by the government, again, which is very different than the fucking New York Times doing a project? Who were the historians that were consulted? Yeah, I just made it up, okay? I made it up. I want to do a 1776 Commission which says white is right going forward. And if you want to fucking eliminate that, well, then you're the real racist.
He has suggested he's going to jump right back into the Paris Climate Accords. The Paris Climate Accords are maybe the most useless piece of paper ever written upon.
Then why are you crying about it? He's not even wrong, by the way. The Paris Climate Accords are literally fucking useless. For all of the people who are crying about it, or were crying about it before and are now crying about it, what is way more significant is like the personal jurisdiction that mayors and state officials have over what kind of fucking emissions restrictions that they're going to put in place. That is more significant. And that's precisely why, even after Donald Trump said we're pulling out of the Paris Climate Accords, every fucking governor was like, no, we're still going to continue on with the emissions restrictions and protocols set in place. There are way more significant problems that the Donald Trump administration did. It's largely symbolic that he said he's going to get out of the fucking Paris Climate Accords, okay? Like, it was symbolic. And just like it is a useless piece of paper, I guess, it's symbolic that Joe Biden said we have our commitments to the Paris Climate Accord, and we're going to reaffirm that. It's entirely performative. Ben even understands that it's performative, and yet he's still fucking crying about it. So what the fuck are you crying about if it's purely performative, you dumb fuck?
He's appointing people who are unqualified for their positions solely on the basis of their identity groups. He has a new Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services who is transgender. That is the only headline that...
Wait, what the fuck? Wait. The trans secretary, like, I'm so confused. Why are you fucking saying that that she has no qualifications other than being trans? Like, that's literally just saying, like, black people have no qualifications for the jobs that they have outside of being black. Like, that's why you hired. Or a woman that has no qualifications for the position that they're in. I mean, that's fucking insane. That's insane to fucking throw out something so incredibly bigoted. What the fuck kind of qualifications do you have? dumbass. It's just straight up fucking transphobic. You're relying on the fact that other people who are listening to you are going to be transphobic to agree with you and say, yeah, they have no qualifications. It's nuts to say that Rachel Levine, however you say it, has no fucking qualifications for the position that she got as a top health official after she was Pennsylvania's top health official. As Pennsylvania's Secretary of Health, Levine has risen to the national prominence for leading the state's public health response to the coronavirus pandemic despite repeated and ugly attacks on her gender identity. She was already confirmed 3 times by the Republican-controlled state Senate to serve as the Secretary of Health and the state's Physician General. Where did it say she had no qualifications except their sexuality? You're making shit up to fit your narrative?
Who are unqualified for their positions solely on the basis of their identity groups. He has a new...
What do you think that means? Should I replay it again? Because, I mean, listen, you're a conservative, so automatically I assume that, like, a part of your brain is missing. What do you think it means when Ben Shapiro says Joe Biden is appointing people into prominent positions despite having no qualifications for said positions? And then he follows it up by saying, the trans secretary. What do you think he means by that? Also, why are conservatives such fucking pussies, dude? Just own it. Like, it's so funny that, like, you literally want to say transphobic shit, but when you're called out, you're like, oh, that's just not what I meant. Just fucking own it. We already know you're a fucking transphobe. Just own it, you dumb fuck. You took him out of context.
Joe Biden wants to put back in place the entire team that negotiated the Iran nuclear deal, a deal that was, in fact, so damaging to a lot of our allies in the Middle East that it ended up almost solving the Israeli-Arab dispute because so many people hated the Iran nuclear deal.
The Iran nuclear deal is probably one of the greatest foreign policy accomplishments that the Obama administration had. I've been incredibly critical of the Obama administration's foreign policy decisions. Outside of that, Iran was following the terms of that denuclearization agreement, regardless of the fact that America literally fucking said under Donald Trump that they were going to pull out of it. They still kept following it, according to third-party investigators from Europe, but it doesn't really matter. And Ben Shapiro does not care about this at all, and he thinks that America should be able to renege on deals for no reason and just rip them for no reason other than the fact that we are America. How the fuck are you ever going to ever have peace deals conducted with countries that you consider to be foreign adversaries ever again if, the next time someone else fucking becomes president, they could just, like, shit on it? Iran agreed to denuke, but they're still making nukes. KEKW. Iran literally agreed to denuclearize. They followed through on their end of that bargain. They literally followed through on that, even after Donald Trump became president and said he's going to throw it out. And even after Donald Trump threw it out, Iran was still following through on the denuclearization agreement. But it doesn't fucking matter because Donald Trump followed through, put sanctions. By the way, Democrats voted on those sanctions as well, for the record. Literally fucking put sanctions on Iran, despite the fact that they were following their end of the bargain. Of course, there is a country with a robust nuclear program. That country's name is Israel, but we will never talk about that because Israel is America's ally. So,
right, we are seeing this in social media as well directly, where the tech bros have decided that they are simply going to cave to the Democrats in the hope that they will be left alone, or they actually agree with Democrats that a lot of the language they don't like is now going to be considered dangerous and ought to be banned.
Listen, man, miss me with this bullshit. Anything that Ben Shapiro says about tech censorship is complete lie, okay? One, the Daily Wire literally wrote like 8 fucking articles on me with the 9/11 Dan Crenshaw shit specifically to try to get me banned. 2, Ben Shapiro is a massive advocate for the Canary mission, okay, which is literally an institution built, an organization built specifically to dox people that they declare to be anti-Semitic. Some of those people are white supremacists and anti-Semitic, by the way. Don't get me wrong. There is legitimate anti-Semites and legitimate fucking fascists they're doxing. But then there's also random fucking brown people that are like registered nurses or some shit. And they've keyword searched Jew on their fucking profile to be like, all right, it's over. This guy's a fucking anti-Semite. Kick this guy out of his job. This notion that like, or BDS activist, by the way, which is the greatest part about it all. So Ben Shapiro claiming to be a fucking free speech advocate is a laughable notion, considering how much he fucking cries about boycott, divestment, and sanctions on the state of Israel, and how much BDS activists should deserve to get fucking fired from their positions. Get the fuck out of here. Tech censorship absolutely destroys the left way more than it fucking destroys Ben Shapiro. Mr. Ben Shabibo is literally straight up benefiting from Facebook, for example, working with the Heritage Foundation early on in consulting for tech censorship, a problem that they created. Conservatives consistently talk about tech censorship as a way to game the system in their favor, okay? That's all this is. It's kind of like how conservatives say elections are under attack, election integrity is under attack, so that they can justify voter suppression measures. This is how it works. They cry about tech censorship so that they can continue dominating the fucking algorithms. And it's very successful.
But that means the Republicans have to get out there and work. They don't just have to get out there and work for candidates. They have to pressure their legislatures and legislators at the state level to redo how voting is done so we don't have the fiasco that was universal mail-in balloting this time.
Universal mail-in balloting was a fiasco is such a fucking indecent, hack, fraudulent fucking thing to say. It is literally, you're just saying that you don't want people to vote. That's all you are fucking saying. That's all you are doing. That's all you are saying. In any other country, if we were a sane country, we would hear someone say this and go, oh, fuck that guy. That guy hates democracy. Okay, suck my dick and move on. And yet here in America, that is a legitimate point of contention. Wow.
Once the filibuster is gone, Democrats can, with a simple 50 plus Kamala Harris votes, add states like Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, adding 4 Democratic senators.
Oh my God, that would be so terrifying if there was more representation. Honestly, again, I am literally shaking, dude. I am shitting my pants. I'm shitting, pissing, and coming. Thinking about more representation from areas and territories. Wow. Fuck, that would be disastrous, dude.
If the social media bros decide that they are simply going to violate the sort of free speech rights that you would have were this a public sector company by cracking down on dissent in monopolistic fashion, right? Coordinating and then all deciding that certain views are out of the debate, states are going to have to step in. You've started to see this in some states, proposals being put forth that any ISP that discriminates, any cable provider that discriminates on the basis of politics, any social media network that discriminates on the basis of politics will not be able to operate in a particular state. I'm not a fan of using this sort of interventionism with regard to these companies, but if the companies have basically centralized all the power to control your speech in the public forum, then I don't see a whole hell of a lot of protections outside of state governments, especially if the federal government is forcing a lot of this.
Wait, by the way, guys, Ben Shabibo was anti-net neutrality. I'm not even kidding. Ben Shabibo was literally advocating against net neutrality, which Ajit Pai, Donald Trump's FCC, head of FCC, repealed. Ben Shabibo, while that was happening, straight up was against net neutrality. And not only that, but I have a video on it. Like, I literally did a video on Ben Shabibo being anti-net neutrality, which was so psychotic that even his audience was getting mad at him over. I actually have the receipts, like, literally right here.
Given how the internet has become net neutrality is basically the suggestion that internet service providers have to supply all use of traffic the same price. So Netflix, which eats up an enormous amount of bandwidth, has to be charged the same as some schmo in his basement who is just loading up his blog.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. Netflix is using the same $50 a month internet package that I use to post my hashtag MCN thirst traps on Instagram, but instead to run their global video streaming operation. By the way, follow me on Instagram. How dumb do you think your audience is, Ben?
God, I'm so cringe. I can't even watch this anymore. Anyway, but yeah, the point is he was pro-net neutrality, he was anti-net neutrality, and now he is in favor of it because he's a disingenuous asshat who only defends Republicans, and that's pretty much what he does, and that's it. That's pretty much all there needs to be said about this situation.
And then finally, on an interpersonal level, we're going to have to talk with one another. We're going to have to stop hunkering down in the silos that we've built for ourselves, and we are going to actually have to start talking with one another, convincing.
Seems like my main man Shabibo no longer has any power, or at least his will a little worried that his will not be represented in the administration. So now he's like, come on, we gotta fucking talk to one another, dude. Come on. Sounds like fucking loser talk to me, brother. That's what it sounds like. Smells like fucking loser in here, dude. Guess what? Sorry, you lost, bitch.